Hi, this is Deborah Campbell. I want to do a legislative update. I shared this presentation at the Grady County GOP meeting the other night, and it was well received, and people were interested in the issues and how they can help. So I want to find other opportunities to share the same information. So as you see in the first slide, I identify Poe versus Drummond. House Bill 2569, Senate Bill 36, and then draft redefining school health education bill. And then you see laws to repeal. Now, in my presentation, you will get an explanation of these bills that are currently law and get an understanding why they need to be repealed. So with Poe versus Drummond, this was filed in May 2023. There was some controversy around A.G. Drummond and why he entered into an agreement between the ACLU, who filed this lawsuit, and the issue was Senate Bill 613, which was the bill that prohibited the medical affirming care of minors, such as the surgeries, puberty blockers, hormones, and therapy. Doctors and other medical professionals could uh, be charged with violating the law as well. And so basically, there were consequences. So the concern about this agreement, the agreement was that Oklahoma would not enforce the law regarding the transitioning of minors for 1 month. So it went from signing the agreement in May to June 16th when the AG filed a motion. So um, it was just very concerning for people. And there was no real explanation about eh, why they would do this. So I've highlighted here on the slide uh, what uh, what the allegations are. And what's very interesting, if you look up the original filing, the plaintiffs, they have some what I call token parents. They don't have that many parents. It's more about the page, or it's beyond the page of medical professions that have been doing these medical uh, transitioning of minors and giving out puberty blockers and all that, for years. So really, the the ones that joined the ACLU, these medical professionals are in Oklahoma, and it's very disturbing to me that they take an oath to do no harm. Well, what do you think they're doing? They're harming our children. And so anyway, as most people know, this gender affirming care and all that, that's about depopulation, but I'm not going into that. But you can find that on the internet. So, and you've heard all this talk about impeaching Ryan Walters. Ryan Walters was elected by the people to do a job, and there has been efforts by indebted legislators here in Oklahoma, as well as one grassroots called Family for Liberties. Kind of warm and fuzzy, right? Well, when you go on their website, they're very secretive and they use the excuse of safety. So, whatever. But if you type in impeach Walters on Google, it'll pull up their page, and they have like 10 allegations for impeachment. And actually, I don't see how they could even prove any of what they were claiming. So anyway, in addition to that, you started, once January rolled around, you started hearing indebted legislators who implied impeachment. Now, I don't think any of them were bold enough to just come right out and say what they really wanted. Um, so this here is House Bill 2569. What's interesting about it, it passed the Common Education Committee in the House, but it didn't go any further and it died. Praise God. But the goal of this was to, again, control Ryan Walters. And I took some quotes from Representative McBride. Now, he's very bold. He's very outspoken. He's, about Ryan Walters. And this is very telling because it's not just McBride. You can look up articles in the news, in the local news, where you've got Rosecrans, you've got Van Kuren, you've got McBride, you've got a lot of them that are very vocal about uh, Walters and the need to control him over federal money. Well, why are they so concerned about the federal money? Well, if you do your homework and you follow the money, a lot of the programs that are identified in the next bill I'll show you in Senate Bill 86, you'll find a lot of them are woke, but the most of our indoctrination comes through federal programs. And when you look at the amount of money attached to all these grants, people need to start asking the question, where's the money going to? Is it staying up in the administration of the State Department of Education? Or is it being distributed to every school? And what is the money being used for? Is it being used for those programs? And then what happens after the grant expires? How do they continue funding that program? So these are things you really need to look into. But anyway, I wanted to show you, again, what McBride had to say. Here is the voting record for this bill. And keep in mind, with elections coming up, remember, these individuals were trying to take away your rights. You elected Ryan Walters to do a job as the people of Oklahoma, and these individuals, they want control. They want to control and take that right away from you. So again, think very carefully about re-electing them. Do your homework. All right, so this one here, very interesting. 2023, they passed Senate Bill 36, and what is interesting about this? It passed without the signature of Governor Stitt. Now, if you go on Legiscan and you look up the bill, first of all, it's under special session. And if you look up the history of the bill, you can see that Governor Stitt was knowledgeable about the content of this bill because there were processes where his name is attached to it, so he was well aware. Also keep in mind, Governor Stitt endorsed Ryan Walters. So in my opinion, if he endorsed Ryan Walters, he had a responsibility to help Ryan. So it passed without the governor's signature. Now here's the thing that I have a problem with. It sat on his desk for 10 days. Therefore, it became law. Governor Stitt he had two choices. He could have vetoed or he could have signed it. So the question becomes, why did he ignore it? Was he afraid to stand up against those legislators that voted for this bill and stick up for Ryan? The other thing is Section 20 gives authoritative powers to the Senate pro tem and to the House Speaker over the state superintendent of instruction. Again, that goes back to we the people elected Ryan Walters into this office to do a job. Ryan Walters, he made a promise to the people to improve our schools, protect our children from the indoctrination, the sexualization, and also he said that he would review all federal funded programs, grants, review those for appropriateness. So, because he too understands how a lot of the socialism, the Marxism, the LGBTQ, SICAs, Planned Parenthood, how they get all this stuff into the schools is through grants, and some of them are federal grants. So he is being cautious. He's being wise. And I greatly appreciate that from Ryan Walters. However, the legislators think that they know better. Excuse me, the indebted legislators. They think they know best. They think they know what is best for our children and for us. Well, they're wrong. So, so going back to Section 20, if you read that section, it again gives the power, the control over federal monies, and it's very interesting the wording in there about the do's and don'ts with the federal money. So the bottom line is Ryan and future superintendents are going to be micromanaged from the pro tem and House Speaker. That is way too much power. So again, no matter who you put into the state superintendent of instruction position, we are not going to be represented. It's going to be the decision of what the indebted legislators want. Now, also, it violates the Oklahoma and the U.S. Constitution. And I had that verified by two reputable constitutional attorneys. In fact, one of them had written an opinion for me, and I shared that at one of the state school board meetings. But also, it places a veto on the actions of the people's elected education representative to do what the people elected him to do. And again, it goes back to raising the constitutionality and legality. And I have written a letter to OK2A, the state OK2A. I have written to OPAC, and I have written to the state GOP. I asked them to collaborate to get a team of constitutional attorneys and challenge us in a court of law. Because if we don't nip this in the bud, if we don't challenge this and get this removed off our books, then the authoritative powers are going to spread beyond education to other areas of government. And this is sheer arrogance, and they're playing on the ignorance of the people. Now, this again is the Senate Bill 36. So in the Oklahoma Constitution, I highlighted the main points of this. Was from one of the constitutional attorneys, and I highlighted his comments. All right, now let's get back to some of the older laws that laid the foundation for comprehensive sex education. Remember, the schools don't use the words comprehensive sex ed. Pay attention to the fact or the word comprehensive because it is comprehensive. It is not just a basic sex ed course, from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Um, it's it's just downright evil. And also, it laid the foundation for school-based health education and services. And we will talk briefly about that as well. So Senate Bill 89 requires that they develop micro-credentials for teachers who will be responsible for teaching health. How interesting. Instead of coming right out and saying what they're going to be teaching. Also, it requires that teachers that are going to teach health in a standalone or integrated manner, then they both require micro credentials, and then they have to go through professional development. Well, this was supposed to happen in 22-23 school year, and praise God, it didn't happen. They didn't come up with the professional development and all that for the teachers. However, now for 23-24 school year, it's in place. And the other question that parents need to raise and be concerned about is what will be integrated into core subjects and which subjects are they? And so you need to, if you find out which ones they are, you need to object to the integrated program. And for example, if it's going to be integrated in social studies, then put in writing and tell your principal you want your child to get credit and take social studies, but you don't want them participating in the integrated program. So they're going to have to provide that because you perceive that as being harmful. So so parents they need to start stepping up and speaking out about this. Not too many people are talking about it. And also the LGBTQ inclusive curriculum will be integrated as well into your core subjects. So this here, as I said earlier, 22-23 school year, I took this right off their website. Now this was back in April of this year, and they had not completed this. However, now, recently, just a few weeks ago, I pulled this up, and so this is what's on their website. And you can go to the link and look at the standards and so forth. The standards, the average person, if they don't know about what's really going on, they'll look at the standard and go, well, what's the big deal? I can get my computer here to change. Sorry. All right, we got it working. All right, House Bill 1103. Now, I know on the Tulsa side of Oklahoma, last year and before that, there were a lot of intrusive questionnaires, surveys, but my side of Oklahoma, which is Stevens County, this side you didn't hear much, and if it did go on, parents pretty much keep to themselves. They don't advocate the way they do in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Stillwater, those places. And I think it's a cultural thing. I'm not really sure what it is, but for some reason they keep to themselves. And that's not a negative thing, but I'm here. Parents in Stevens County and Jefferson County, you got issues, you can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. All right, getting back to House Bill 1103. So it's called the Oklahoma Prevention Needs Assessment Survey. And you see that there's specific um, grade levels that they give these surveys and questionnaires to. And again, parents can object to this, their children participating in this, and you can reach out to me on Facebook or Messenger, and I can, give you the legal citation that you read for yourself, be informed, and then you can do what you need to do. But I'm not telling you what to do. So anyway, I found this very interesting. You should be very concerned. They're giving these surveys and questionnaires to the kids, and the parents aren't there to see what was written, how those children responded to the questions or what the questions were. So then they're sent to the Department of Health and Substance Abuse Services. So they have oversight. They maintain that data. So the question becomes why? What are they doing with it? And you have no idea what your child said. So, sometimes, the kids say things, they'll read a question and they'll say things that they'll pretend that they understand, but they really may not really understand. So who knows? So parents, find out if your kid's taken those and request a copy of all the ones that your child has participated in, see how your children responded, and then you make your decision as to how to proceed. All right, so now we're to this is really bad. House Bill 1568, Maria's Law, how everybody knows. Now, I didn't put everything about it, but I took out the most disturbing part of this. So this law requires that each school creates a school-based health education and services program. Now, as far as what curriculum, supplements, activities, questionnaires, surveys, I've never seen them. I don't know what what it contains. I don't even think there's been a review committee assigned to this. So parents, public, grandparents, I'm a grandparent too, get in there and get involved, start finding answers. The concerning part of this is section 1D. So school districts may enter into agreements with nonprofit entities and other community partners to assist with or to provide mental health education to students pursuant to this section if the nonprofits and community partners are approved by the State Department of Education and the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse. All right, so that's a mouthful. So, my last conversation with the State Department of Education, they haven't seen the list yet. And so we need the list. We need to see what, who they're approving. And also ask the question, hey, what about faith-based? Is there any of these approved? And if they're on the approval list, then are the schools, bringing them in? I guarantee you, Planned Parenthood, SECUS, GLSEN, Amplify, I could go on and on. Those organizations, they already know about this, and they're going to find their ways in. And so, again, this has to be dismantled. Our schools are supposed to be academics. They are not the surrogate parents. They are not psychologists. And this is a real problem. I have a problem that the schools, and it did not happen overnight. This has happened at least since the 80s. Schools have slowly taken responsibilities that parents typically had. Schools have taken away from the community responsibilities, such as our churches, mental health services, and those things. Now, I don't have a problem if a parent goes to the school and they say, well, my child is struggling. Do you have a list of um, resources that I could research? But again, this is not the place. So if the child is struggling, let's say with social anxiety, that's, just popped in my head. Well, have your child independently, uh, evaluated. Get the services, and there's resources out there if you can't afford a therapist or a psychologist, whatever the appropriate methods are. But that professional can make written recommendations for the teachers in the classroom to help support your child. So that your child does not need to be going for therapy in the school. It should simply be, there should be a support system, and also you want to avoid conflict between therapists. Here, that's the other thing. If your child's getting services independently, and then you've got a school psychologist or counselor, whatever, and your child is also getting services there, there could be a conflict in how they're in the treatment of the child. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it just, my concern is that there'll be a conflict. So, if the school counselor is affirming your child that she is a he, and then you've got the opposite thing going on in the independent therapy, we got a problem. So I'm just trying to warn people um, and prevent this from ever becoming an issue. So this is a big mistake. And furthermore, you don't even know what topics in mental health they're going to talk about, because also it can create social contagions. All of a sudden, everybody's got anxiety, or everybody's got depression, or everybody's got an eating disorder, and again, we've heard trans. And I'm telling you, the majority of this trans issue is a social contagion, and the evidence is out there. All right. Now, there is hope. You saw a lot of negative things there, but there is hope. So June 12th of 2023, I organized a group, and we were a committee to create a bill to redefine school health education. And they did a great job. They really did, and I'm really proud of them. And it was not easy. So you have an existing statute that defines health education. And so what we know is health education has been the Trojan horse for comprehensive sex ed, however you want to name it. Then you've got the LGBTQ inclusive curriculum. You've got the HIV and AIDS, and I can just go through a whole litany of stuff. But everything is brought through, for the most part, health education. So, parents, I'm proud of you. You've been out there fighting these battles. Grandparents and concerned citizens of Oklahoma, you have been fighting the sexualization of our children. You've been out there fighting about the sexually explicit books, and in these intrusive questionnaires and everything. Well, the game plan is they create all these little fires, and you're working hard to put them out, and then you burn out. And so I wanted to nip it in the bud. If you, just like anything else, you go to the root of the problem and you remove the root, and guess what? Then everything clears up. So what we did, we created a bill. It narrows the scope to nutrition and physical education. And what we also did, we added in the bill, it was towards the end of the bill, we added an opt-in sex education, because we know we have Republicans, rhinos, and Democrats who support sex education. Now, I can't speak for them as to, are they supporting comprehensive sex ed, or do they think that, well, sex education is just the basic stuff you learned in the 50s, 60s, and 70s? I don't know, but that's your job. You ask them. And but what we did was we made it an opt-in. And what's different about ours compared to all the other legislations last year and prior years, we were very specific in identifying sex education. For example, we use the word biological reproductive health. And the reason for that is, hey, we're at this point now where we don't want reproductive systems taught to the children that there's more than one sex or gender. So we've had this battle going on because of the trans and the LGBTQ, and the kids are confused. So, if you're going to use science, if you're going to be medically accurate, that is one of the key words, then you need biological reproductive. So there's only, you've got a male and female, but all that should, that's it. There's nothing more. You got an XY chromosome and an X chromosome. So that's the way God made us. And so then also with our opt-in, each school would have to put on their website a link for all the approved curriculum, tests, any supplements, activities that are connected to teaching the topics in sex education. The parents will be able to go on the link, they can look at it, read, and be informed, and then make a decision. Do I want my child, participating in this? So if you do, then you make the written request, follow the instructions that's on the website, and then it will be, the course would be set up for you, for your child to go to that course. Also, there's some teeth in it. There's some accountability. So that was something that we discussed as to what it would be. So accreditation will come into play if this becomes law and is violated, then accreditation becomes the consequence. So it's something else to think about. But anyway, I have sent copies, and this is my email you can use to reach out to me if you want a copy of that draft bill and you want to promote it. I'll be more than happy to give that to you. But here I go with my computer again. Sorry, guys. My arrow's just not working for me. Okay, So this is the list of the senators and House representatives that I sent the draft. I wrote a letter. It was the same letter to all of them, requesting their support. I asked them to sponsor the bill and file it for 2024. Now, the good news is Senator Nathan Dahm, thank you so much, and just praise God. He's taken the whole bill and he's having his staff go through and format it and do what they have to do because they got to check the legalities and things of that nature. So there's a lot more than people are aware of uh, when you're writing a bill. But he complimented the content of our bill. And that is so exciting because this is the first time for this group. And I am so proud of the team. Um, and then we have Senator Bullard. Now, he's taken the health component of the bill. Basically, he took out the opt-in for sex ed. And the reason he did that was he had already filed a bill for opt-in sex education. Now, I have not seen the bill. At some point, you should be able to reach out to his office once it's ready and get a copy of it and read it. And however, thank you, Senator Bullard. It is such a blessing. He has taken the health portion of it and filed it for 2024. And again, I have not seen the final version of it yet, but I'm excited to see it as well. So we have nobody in the House. And strategically, we need one more senator to take our bill. I hope Senator Jett, Senator Warren, or Senator Stanridge. I hope either all three of them sign on to it, or they take the bill as well. But we need another version of it in the Senate. I have no House representatives, and it's kind of strange. So I'm asking the public if you support our draft bill, then reach out to these House reps and ask them to please sponsor the bill, author it, and get it filed for 2024. Now, you let them know that they had received an email from me, and it would have been between June and July. So, and I think I sent a reminder out in early August, but don't hold me to that. But anyway, if you need a copy of it, and I suggest you do, email me at the email that you saw, and I'll give you a copy of it. And in that way, you can go in person if they're at the office and talk to them, or talk to their EA or LA. Well, for the House, it would be LA's, and talk to them. But encourage them and remind them, hey, here's the bill, please support it, and tell them why you want them to support. So that's pretty much all I have to say on all of this. I know it was a lot to take in. I appreciate your time. And this last screen again, now I do have another website. The first one you saw, BARDARI, the number 5 at yahoo.com. It's my personal email. I can also be reached at Love My Liberties. That is a grassroots here in Stevens County. And this identifies the top 2 issues that we need to be promoting. I need you guys to reach out to the state GOP, state 2A, and the OCPAC, and tell them to please collaborate, get your team of constitutional attorneys and challenge this in a court of law, because like I said, it's not about Ryan, It started out that way. That's why they passed it, is to control Ryan. But also it affects the future. And look the bill up. Look at the people that voted. 68 people or legislators, and you remember those legislators because they know what the content of the bill was and the purpose of Section 20. It goes beyond just the federal grants that are identified in that bill. Trust me. And then promoting the new bill, health education. So I appreciate anything you can do, and reach out to me. Let me know how you can help out, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.